Have you ever imagined waking up completely healthy, and before the sun goes down, you're delirious, as if something unseen has taken control of your body from the inside? In the 18th century, yellow fever didn't feel like an ordinary illness. It felt like it fell from the sky, without warning, without logic, without mercy. In cities where religion and fear shaped every explanation, people didn't search for science. They searched for meaning. And the easiest meaning to accept was punishment. What terrified everyone was the speed. A man could lift crates at the docks, talk with neighbors, buy bread. And only hours later, he would burn with fever, shaking with pain, feeling heat flood his veins. Skin changed. Eyes grew heavy. The stomach turned. And when the dark vomit appeared, like wet coffee grounds, it felt like the body was losing its final battle. Daily life shifted in quiet ways. Hands stopped meeting. Doors closed earlier. Names were whispered instead of spoken. A wagon passing outside could mean supplies, or someone being taken away. Yellow fever became moral fear. If you fall sick, did you deserve it? If you survive, were you spared for a reason? No one knew. And that uncertainty spread faster than the disease itself. When cities became traps, what if the place meant to protect you, your city, your home, your own street, became the perfect trap for death? In the 18th century, cities expanded quickly, without sanitation or planning. Narrow streets, standing water, waste in corners, animals moving freely. Yellow fever didn't need war to thrive. It needed routine, ordinary life repeating itself in heat and crowding. On summer days, air felt heavy. Homes held warmth. Water was stored like treasure in barrels and tubs, saved for cooking and cleaning. No one suspected that these containers could shelter a hidden threat. People believed sickness rose from foul smells and poisonous air. In crowded neighborhoods, that belief felt obvious. But the real trap was habit. A woman washing floors with a bucket, a child playing near puddles, a shopkeeper leaving water outside, a soldier sleeping in humid quarters. Every simple action supported the same environment. The more crowded the city, the stronger the stage became. And what should have been shelter turned into a place where danger could move without resistance. Ships that carried death. What if the arrival of a ship, usually a promise of wealth, was actually the beginning of a silent disaster? In the 18th century, the sea connected cities to fortune. Ships brought sugar, coffee, fabric, tools, spices, and people. Trade created growth. But it also carried something no one could see. Something that didn't need invitation to enter. A ship was sealed life. Heat below deck. Water stored for weeks. Damp wood. Containers everywhere. Over time, supplies degraded, and exhaustion set in. When the ship finally appeared near the harbor, it brought not only cargo, but risk, hidden in the conditions that traveled with it. The cruel part was that no one needed to look sick. The city still rushed to the docks. Workers unloaded. Merchants argued. Children watched. Officials recorded the goods. A world of movement welcomed the ship, and yellow fever found warmth, contact, and opportunity. Some fears were not born from enemies at sea, but from prosperity itself. The more ships arrived, the more trade grew, and the more likely death arrived quietly, disguised as business as usual. Philadelphia, the city that stopped. How does an entire city simply stop? In 1793, Philadelphia was alive with politics, commerce, and busy streets. People carried letters, opened shops, gathered in homes. Then the rhythm cracked. A few fell sick. Then more. And suddenly, the city felt like it was holding its breath. Panic didn't arrive loud. It arrived through silence. Doors shut. Windows stayed closed. Fewer wagons rolled. Streets emptied. Families fled into the countryside. Those who could escape did. Those who remained watched their city shift into something unrecognizable. In moments rarely remembered, public order weakened. Officials vanished. Meetings stopped. Services collapsed. Bodies gathered faster than burial could keep up. People feared touch, feared shared air, feared standing too close to anyone with fever, as if illness could jump through space. Everything became a sign. A house too quiet, a smell in the street, the absence of a familiar voice. Philadelphia wasn't only sick. It was interrupted, trapped inside the same question every day. Who will be next? Doctors against the unknown. What happens when medicine has no answers, but death refuses to wait? In the 18th century, doctors fought yellow fever without understanding its cause. They had tools, confidence, and theories, but no certainty. And when you don't know the enemy, treatment becomes gamble. Bloodletting was common, as if removing blood could remove the sickness. Harsh purges were used to force the body to clean itself. Teas, powders, and remedies passed between families like fragile hope. Patients, already weak, often endured methods that drained what little strength remained. A forgotten detail is how fiercely physicians argued. Families were forced to choose between conflicting advice, never knowing who was right. Fear makes people desperate, and desperation makes people trust anything. Yellow fever revealed the limits of knowledge. Inside homes, the same scene repeated. Heat, fever, weakness, terrified relatives, and a doctor trying to appear calm while searching for meaning. It was an uneven fight, and too often the disease won before anyone understood what they were truly facing. The panic was worse than the fever. What if the fever wasn't the only epidemic? And the real infection was fear. Yellow fever didn't only kill bodies. It broke trust. Cities became places where suspicion spread faster than symptoms. A second epidemic grew beside the first. Panic, rumor, blame. Newspapers reported deaths, theories, warnings. Letters traveled quickly with lists of unsafe streets and strange cures. People tried to understand, and instead created stories. Rumor became explanation. Explanation became accusation. Groups were blamed because fear demanded a target. Foreigners, the poor, dock workers, entire neighborhoods. It was easier to believe someone brought the horror than to accept it was already there, hidden and uncontrolled. In daily life, panic lived in small choices. A shopkeeper refusing coins, a family avoiding certain streets, a priest hesitating at a sick room door. Even friendships broke under the weight of suspicion. Yellow fever turned communities into islands, each home isolated by dread. The killer was tiny. What if everything was being driven by something small enough to go unnoticed? In the 18th century, no one imagined a mosquito could decide the fate of a city. Yellow fever felt too large, too violent, too unstoppable. But its true force moved through something tiny. Aedes aegypti didn't arrive like an invasion. It existed quietly within daily life. Porches, damp corners, hidden water containers. Mosquito bites were normal, and so the danger was ignored. It was treated as irritation, not as history. The city's routine supported it perfectly. Stored water, heat, crowded streets, humid rooms. While people blamed air and moral failure, The real cause remained invisible. The cruel irony is that people searched for danger in dramatic places, while the true threat hovered near them on ordinary nights. Yellow fever was not punishment from the sky. It was a simple cycle, hidden in plain sight. Heroes' history, almost erased when everyone runs, who stays? During yellow fever outbreaks, some people remained in the cities, not because they were fearless, but because someone had to continue. Someone had to bring water, clean rooms, feed the sick, bury the dead. As streets emptied, homes became improvised sick rooms. Vinegar and herbs filled the air. Sheets were washed until they tore. Bodies were lifted carefully, as if they could break. The most dangerous work was often done by ordinary caregivers, not famous doctors. Many who stayed were people with no power to leave, poor workers, women without options, those already forgotten by society. And yet, in crisis, they became essential. Their heroism wasn't dramatic. It was quiet endurance, shaking hands holding water, silent prayers, long hours beside beds, courage without recognition, yet powerful enough to keep parts of the city alive. The lesson that cost thousands of lives. What if the worst part was that it didn't end? It returned? Yellow fever faded, then came back, again and again. Each return destroyed hope. It turned summers into warnings and cities into places waiting for collapse. Some authorities tried quarantines, some closed ports. Others forced normal life to continue, fearing economic ruin. Often, decisions came too late. Yellow fever needed only heat, hidden breeding places, and human movement. The lesson was simple but expensive. Treating the sick was not enough. The city itself had to change. Water storage, waste, and daily habits had to be rebuilt. But change was slow, and the disease returned before societies adapted. Thousands died not because people didn't care, but because they didn't know. Ignorance on a city scale becomes tragedy. Yellow fever taught through repetition, and each lesson was paid in lives. The echo of yellow fever. What if the past is still speaking through this disease? Yellow fever reshaped how cities thought about sanitation, water, ports, and public health. It pushed the world toward one crucial idea. Disease was not just fate. It had structure. It had a path. And understanding that path could protect the future. When the mosquito was finally identified as the carrier, everything changed. The enemy was no longer mystery. It became something measurable, preventable, and controllable. Public health stopped being desperation and became strategy. But the deepest echo is human. Epidemics reveal character. They show how societies treat the vulnerable, how fear changes behavior, how quickly unity can become suspicion. When we look back at the 18th century, we are not only watching an old outbreak, we are watching how the invisible can destroy the visible world. And the real warning is simple. If we forget what it cost to learn these lessons, history has a way of forcing us to learn them again. If you enjoyed this story and want more immersive historical reconstructions like this, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with the next topic you want to explore.